Hari Om, Narayanyam, Dasakam 1, Glory of the Lord. It is the greatest good fortune of mankind in this Kali Yuga that the eternal truth, which grants us salvation, manifests itself as Lord Krishna, the holy shrine of Guruvayur, to bless all true devotees. This embodiment of eternal spiritual bliss is beyond any comparison and transcends all limits of time and space. This eternal truth is free of all illusion and is all pervading, being the root cause of the entire universe. Even the Vedas cannot fully comprehend or describe it, but it can be attained through single devotion by the true bhaktas of Lord Krishna. Although such an easy access to eternal salvation has been offered to mankind on a silver platter in the form of Lord Krishna at Guruvayur, common mortals, due to their inherent lowly nature, overlook the eternal benefits of this and go in pursuit of worldly pleasures. May we all realize our folly and serve Him with complete faith, as He alone can alleviate all our sorrows. The great sage Vyasa has identified thy form as Suddha Sattva, unsullied by the evil and impure qualities of Rajas and Tamas. Contemplation of this pure divine form of Lord Krishna will lead us to ultimate bliss and wisdom. O Lord Krishna, this unchanging form of Suddha Sattva, embodied in thee, transcending time and space, is the ocean of nectar giving supreme happiness to all true devotees, encompassing all the liberated souls embedded like pure pearls in the waves of this ocean. Hence, this incarnation of thine as Lord Krishna can be called the complete one as compared to all the other revelations of thy divine form. Even without any action or reason, thy glance alone can activate Maya at the beginning of a new kalpa or cycle of creation spontaneously. Thus, the divine form of the Lord of Vaikuntha manifests itself as Maya or Prakruti without its glory or purity being diminished or tarnished in any way. O Guru Ayyappa, I meditate on thy divine form, which is more beautiful than the dark rain clouds and the blue kalaya flowers, where Goddess Lakshmi plays uninhibitedly, which being the abode of beauty is the ultimate sanctuary of all the true devotees, drowning their hearts in the nectar of supreme bliss. O Supreme One, I earlier, in my ignorance, I had thought that thy creation was sheer misery to mankind, entangling all of us in the cycle of births and deaths. But now I realize how wrong I was. But for this divine miracle of creation, how could our souls be liberated without our eyes and ears drinking the nectar of supreme bliss in a fully conscious state? O Hari, thou art ready to shower on us all that we desire and even more by granting liberation to our wretched souls. But due to our total ignorance of this ultimate bliss, we pursue worldly belongings and sensual pleasures. Men long for the Parijata tree in Indra's garden when the Kalpavriksha in the form of Lord Krishna is waiting to grant them salvation. O Sauri, thou art omnipotent and the embodiment of all virtue, and hence thou hast the unique power to grant supreme bliss to thy devotees instead of only desired objects. In contrast to other gods, those who realize this truth are blessed at every step they take towards thee. O Lord Krishna, I pray to thee for such a blessing. O Lord Murari, thou art the embodiment of all the six divine qualities of greatness: Sri, Jnana, Vairagya, Aishwarya, Virya, and Yashas, and hence the word Bhagavat is the most befitting attribution to thee, who art the resident of the Guruvayur temple. Dasakam 2. Form of the Lord. I pray to the divine form of Lord Krishna, adorned by the diamond crown more brilliant than the sun, the upright sandal mark on the forehead, the compassionate eyes, the charming smile, the shapely nose, the cheeks reflecting the light of the earrings brushing against them, the neck resplendent with the Kaustubha jewel, and the chest decorated with flower garlands, pearl necklaces, and the holy Srivasta beauty mark. I prostrate before this most beautiful form of Lord Krishna with the four shining arms bedecked with shoulder ornaments, bangles, bracelets, rings studded with precious stones, the mace, the conch, the disc, the lotus, the shining yellow silk robe adorning the waist with the gold belt around it and the beautiful lotus feet, which are the ultimate refuge of all devotees for the removal of all their sorrows. O Omnipotent One, this supreme divine form of thine transcends all beauty, radiance, and sweetness in all the three worlds and generates intense love in the hearts of all true bhaktas. O Lord Achyuta, Goddess Lakshmi, being so attached to thee, cannot remain long with any of our devotees. Hence she has earned the epithet Chapala as, or fickle-minded one, as far as her bhaktas are concerned. So strong and steadfast is her love for thee. O Lakshmipati, Goddess Lakshmi's firm love of thee makes her shower blessings on all those devotees who are ever praising thy qualities and worshipping thee. Our fickleness is only with regard to those who have no love or respect for thee. Description of thy divine form is like nectar to the ears and the minds of devotees, drenching their bodies in ecstasy and taking them to the extremes of bliss. O Lord Krishna, therefore, Bhakti Yoga, or the path of devotion, is recommended by the great sages to be far superior to Karma Yoga or Jnana Yoga in the quest for salvation, and it can be attained effortlessly through intense love for thy divine form. O most powerful one, Karma Yoga yields results only in the distant future, and Jnana Yoga is beyond the comprehension of ordinary mortals. But devotion to thee is far more satisfying to our minds. Performance of Karma Yoga is very exhausting and leads us to the path of Jnana or Bhakti only after our mind has been cleansed of impurities. Philosophical search for eternal truth can lead to salvation only after a painful process of life cycles and rebirths. It is not then more prudent to adopt the path of Bhakti directly? O Lord Krishna, Bhakti is the most superior path to merge with thee and leads us to the state of pure divinity without delay. I pray to thee to grant me the ability to be steeped in devotion to thy lotus feet. Dasakam 3. The perfect devotee. O Varada, those bhaktas who constantly chant thy name and worship thy divine form have all their righteous wishes fulfilled by thee and are indeed the most blessed souls. O Lord Vishnu, I, plagued as I am by disease, both physical and mental, I am unable to turn my mind towards thee. Please have pity on me and help me to sit peacefully in some quiet place, chanting thy innumerable names and worshipping thy lotus feet. Nothing is impossible for one who has been blessed by thee. Innumerable devotees of thine have been liberated from their sorrows and worldly ties by thy mercy. Can I not be one such fortunate devotee of thine? Many great sages like Narada have attained supreme bliss by meditating on the lotus feet and are now free to wander at will, drowned in the complete state of conscious bliss beyond all limits of time and space. Is there anything more for them to attain? Please help me to become more and more devoted to Thee, as that is the only remedy for all my woes. There is no doubt at all in my mind about this, for otherwise all of Vyasa's teachings, thy divine sayings, and even the Vedas will become meaningless like the utterance of a street wanderer. Chanting thy names and singing thy praises is a sweet pleasure from the start. As devotion becomes more intense, it eliminates all suffering and ultimately it leads the mind to the path of supreme knowledge and bliss. What more can a bhakta crave for? O Lord, rid me of all sorrows. May my feet walk joyfully to thy temple. May my hands serve thee with fervor. May my eyes be eager to feast on thy divine image. May my nostrils be pervaded with the scent of the holy tulsi leaves at thy feet, and may my ears drink in thy delightful stories. May the divine form embodying the supreme bliss envelop my mind and heart so completely that I am forced to forget all my physical maladies and experience only the thrill of shedding tears of joy in this state. O Kamsantaka, those who have no love or regard for thee are thriving all around me, but in spite of my devotion to thee, I am drowned in sorrow. O Varada, is not thy reputation of mercy to thy devotee at stake here? O Lord, please remove my afflictions and make me a worthy devotee of thee. What else is there for me to pray for? I shall stop lamenting and spend my time doing puja and singing hymns of praise to thy lotus feet until thou doth take pity on me and bless me. Dasakam 4. Yoga and its attainment. O Lord, grant me strong and healthy body to serve thee, then with thy blessings I will surely become proficient in doing the eightfold yoga of concentration. By practicing self-control through celibacy, honesty and non-violence, and by observing the daily rituals of bathing, meditation, etc., I shall cleanse my body and mind and perform the Padmasana and other asanas and worship thee. Chanting the Pranava mantra continuously and thus controlling the sense organs, I shall purify myself and concentrate on thee. Through repeated effort, I shall try to focus my mind on thy form, which is intangible. But by meditating on thy lotus feet, I shall try to capture the ecstasy of true devotion. By intense and repeated effort, I shall be able to visualize through my mind's eye the loveliness of each and every limb of thy divine form and effortlessly meditate on it. O Lord, those who concentrate on thy divine form will be entranced by its beauty, and gradually their minds will be transported to a higher level, wherein they can comprehend the impersonal Brahman or eternal truth and bliss. O Vishwanatha, having reached the apex of spiritual concentration, which is supreme bliss, we must again, on relaxation, begin afresh the process of dharana and follow the same steps in ascending order. The constant practice of this process of concentration is in itself an enjoyable experience in the attainment of supreme bliss. Our souls will be liberated by this process and be free to wander about like the most exalted devotees, Sukha, Narada, etc., singing thy glory. Thus, the yogi who attains samadhi is able to control his life breath and draw it upward along the Sushma nerve past the 6 nerve centers in his quest for salvation. Then leaving this earthly body, those who wish for immediate salvation merge with thee, while those who wish for the pleasures of the higher worlds go with the sense organs piercing the head. Thus, the devotee who is led to the solar world by the preceding deities of fire, daylight, the waxing fortnight of the moon, and the summer solstice goes on to the world of Dhruva. Then, after a long sojourn in Maharloka, thy devotee, as soon as he is afflicted by the scorching fire issued forth from the serpent Shesha, or even before that, reaches Satyaloka of the world of Brahma. Residing in Satyaloka, or thine own Vishnu Loka, thy devotees attain salvation during the great flood or even before, at his own will, breaking through the Brahmananda or Markosum with his yogic power. O Lord, the Brahmananda is encased in 7 covers, the 5 elements earth, water, fire, air, ether, and then intellect and illusion. Thy devotee breaks through all these barriers, experiencing the pleasures in each of these, and finally attains salvation at thy lotus feet. O Jagannatha, one who successfully completes this arduous soul-searching journey does not come down again. I am thy humble devotee, singing thy praises. Please say me, O Lord of Guruvayur, who art the embodiment of truth and reality. Dasakam 5. Cosmic Evolution. When the earlier great glitch occurred, the world was non-existent and Maya was merged in thy supreme form, undiscernible in any way. There was no life or death, and no day or night, only the brilliant form of supreme bliss existed. O Lord, at that point of time, everything in the universe, Kala, Karma, Guna, Jivatmas, all lay merged in thy supreme form, but they were never non-existent or imaginary like flowers of the sky. They were ensconced in thee and re-emerged after the glitch. This state lasted for 2 parardas. Then with the desire for creation, thou activated Maya with a single glance, and the evolution of the 3 worlds began. From Maya came Kala Shakti, the hidden resultant karmas of the jivas and the inborn dispositions. From these evolved the gunas or moods and helped Maya to manifest as the universe. The Vedas describe thee as a witness to the creation of Maya, yet thy form is not enveloped by Maya. Thou art the one and only individual soul reflected on Maya in different forms. Time, action, nature have all been ordained by thee. The very same Maya, influenced by these forces, created the principle of intelligence called Mahat. This principle of intelligence is endowed with 3 gunas: the Sattvic guna, created in the total soul, the cognizance of unqualified self, but this same intelligence, being prominently tamasic in nature, created the cognizance of qualified self, ahangara or egoism in that very soul. This ahamkara or ego changed into 3 different forms: the Vairagya with sattvic quality, and the Taijasa dominated by the Rajas and Tamas. From the sattvic guna came the preceding deities of senses like Darshan, air, sun, Varuna, Ashwini Devas, fire, Vishnu, Mitra, Prajapati, moon, Brahma, Rudra, Kshetranyana. From the sattvic part of Ahamkara was created the Antakarana or internal sense, which is a combination of Chitta, mind, intellect, and egoism. From the Rajasa part came the set of 10 senses, and from the Tamasa part thou created Shabda or sound, which is the prime essence of the sky. From Shabda thou created the sky, from that came touch, from which air or Vayu was born. From that came Rupa or form. From Rupa came Agni or fire. From fire came taste. Then came water from taste. From water came smell, and from smell earth was formed. Thus, O Lord Madhava, thou caused the group of elements to manifest from tamasa egoism, with each one of them having the qualities of those created prior to them, and hence all of them being interconnected. These groups of elements, senses, and other preceding deities did not themselves create the universe. These deities sang thy praises in various hymns, and thou entered these fundamentals and by impelling them to combine with one another, created the golden egg or Hiranyagarbha, which is the universe. This Brahmananda or cosmic egg lay for 1,000 years in the primal water created earlier. Then exploding it, thou came in the form called Virata Purusha of the 14 worlds. In that form, thou shone as the total form of all individual souls with thousands of hands, feet, and heads. O Guruvayurappa, may that divine form of thine be the savior of all my ills. Dasakam 6. Cosmic form of the Lord. O wonder of wonders, thy Virata Purusha form encompassing the 14 worlds has been described thus by sages. The soles of the feet are Patala, the upper part of the feet are Rasatala, and the pair of ankles are Mahatala. O Lord Chakrabani, the sages refer to thy shins as the world of Talatala, thy knees as Sulthala, and thy two thighs as Vithala and Athala. The front portion of the hip is the earth, thy navel is the sky, and the breast is heaven where Indra dwells. Thy neck is Maharloka, thy face Janaloka, thy forehead Tapaloka, and the head which envelops everything is Satyaloka. O Lord, who art the embodiment of all the worlds, I prostrate before thy divine form, which is composed of all other things too depend on these worlds. O Lord, who art the root cause of the universe, thy Brahmaranandara, that is the skull, is the Vedas. O Keshava, thy lovely tresses are the clouds. Thy pair of radiant brows are the abode of Brahma. Thy eyelashes are night and day, and thy eyes are the sun. O Lord, thy glance is the act of the creation of the entire universe. Thy ears are the directions. Thy nostrils are the two Ashwin Devatas. Thy lower lip is avarice or greed, and thy upper lip is modesty. Thy teeth are the groups of the stars, and thy molars represent Lord Yama, god of death. O Lord, the radiant smile is Maya or illusion. The breath is air, and thy tongue is water. Thy speech is the family of birds. The musical notes are the Siddhas, etc. The hollow of the mouth is fire. Thy arms are the gods, and thy two breasts are the abode of the Deva. O lotus-eyed Lord, the hind part is adharma or evil, and the mind is the moon. The lotus heart is intangible, being balanced by the gunas or moods. Thy abdomen is the host of oceans. The garments are the two twilights. The private parts are the god Brahma, and the scrotum is the god Mitra. O merciful one, thy hip is the animal kingdom. The nails of thy feet are the elephants, camels, horses. Thy gait is time. Thy lotus-like face, thy arms, thy two charming thighs, and thy feet are the source of the Brahmins and other castes. O Lord Chakrapani, thy actions are the cycle of births and deaths. Thy valor is the host of powerful demons or asuras. Thy bones are the mountains. Thy nerves are the collection of rivers, and thy hair are the trees. O Lord, may this marvelous Virata Purusha form of thine flourish and conquer. This Virata Purusha form of thine, encompassing the 14 worlds, is worthy of worship by Karma Yogis at the end of every good deed. O Guru Ayurappa, I salute thee and beg thee to protect me from all maladies. Dasakam 7. Birth of Hiranyagarbha. O Guru Ayurappa, thus thou who assumed the form of Virata Purusha, symbolizing the 14 worlds, again manifested thyself as Brahma, the creator, in Satyaloka, which is above all these worlds. This form of thine called Hiranyagarbha is the total collective soul of the three worlds. Then Brahmadeva was pervaded by the desire for manifold creation through the compelling force of Rajasguna. This Brahma was infused by the desire for manifold creation, contemplated deeply about it, but remained confused as he lacked the necessary knowledge for it. Thou, unseen by him, urge him to do penance by whispering sweetly in his ear. The entire universe was enveloped in water then. Brahma looked around to see who whispered in his ear. He could not see thee, but obeying thy command, he did penance for 1,000 divine years to propitiate thee. Thou then revealed to him the wonderful world of Vaikunta. O Lord, Vaikunta Loka is the embodiment of the supreme light emanating from thy divine form, and it outshines all other worlds. In it, there is no Maya or illusion, no room for emotions like sorrow, rage, ignorance, or fear. Herein is only the continuous outpouring of complete happiness. Revealed to Brahma, this supreme abode of Vaikunta shining beyond all comparison. Herein, the divine souls who are four-armed and who shine with the radiance of blue sapphire lit up by the precious gems in the ornaments that adorn them, live in shining aerial cars. Their extreme devotion to thee has earned them a place in this high abode. May this immaculate abode of thine outshine all else. In this divine abode, Goddess Mahalakshmi, who illuminates the entire world with her bewitching, dazzling form, like a streak of lightning, is seen inhaling the aroma of thy lotus feet, surrounded by a retinue of celestial maidens. O Lord, please bless me and grant me a place in this wonderful abode of thine. O Lord, divine form, which was revealed to Brahma in Vaikunta Loka, is the root cause of the universe. God Brahma had a supreme vision of thee seated on the throne, set with precious jewels. Thy divine form, adorned by the crown sparkling with the brilliance of a crow's suns, thy bracelets and other ornaments, the Srivatsa mark and the red Kaustubha jewel were all revealed to Brahma in their full splendor. May thou grant me this very same supreme vision. May that marvelous form of thine, enchanting Brahma with its all-pervading dazzling light, like the dark rain clouds or the kalaya flowers, thy face radiant with its angelic smile, and thy forearms holding the conch, mace, disc, and lotus, cure all my maladies. Seeing thy divine form, Brahma, overwhelmed by astonishment and joy arising out of the ecstasy of devotion, prostrated at thy lotus feet and entreated thee, who art all-knowing, to explain to him the dualistic and non-dualistic nature of thy divine form. O Lord, I pray to thee who granted the revelation of the supreme divine form to Brahma. Holding Brahma, who lay prostrate at thy lotus feet by thy own hand, thou blessed him, saying that he would have knowledge but would not be bound by the act of creation. Thus, encouraging him, thine own self hidden in Brahma's heart spurred him on to begin the act of creation. O Lord, bless me with good health. Dasakam 8. The Ditch. After the great deluge, God Brahma, who took birth on the very first Brahmakalpa, got the Vedas from thee and began the task of creation as in the previous Kalpa. This Brahma spent 1,000 fourfold yugas as day and as many nights too. Several times, along with its creations, he sleeps merged in thee. Hence, his night is known as Naimitika Pralaya, or a deluge having a reason. As each day begins with thy blessing, Brahma goes on with the act of creation as we perform our daily rituals at dawn. Those long-living souls born in the earlier Brahma Kalpa also wake up at the dawn of the new Kalpa after a long night's sleep. This Brahma has now completed one Pararada, or of his age, that is 50 years. O Lord, let me now relate strange playful events that were enacted by thee in the preceding night and the following morning, Brahma. Our 1,000 into 4 yugas is equal to 1 day of Brahmakalpa, And similarly, our 1000 into 4 yugas is equal to 1 night of Brahmakalpa. Our 2000 into 4 yugas is equal to 1 day plus 1 night of Brahma. 360 days, including nights of Brahma, is equal to 1 year of Brahma. 100 years of Brahma is equal to Brahma's full age, which is the duration of the great deluge also. Dasakam 8 to be continued. At the end of this, Brahma, feeling sleepy, lay merged in thee. The worlds also took refuge in thy abdomen, and the universe became a huge ocean of water. When the entire universe was enveloped in water, thou being the soul of complete bliss, resting on Adisesha, who is another manifestation of thee, became deeply immersed in self-concentration. There the host of forces, including Kala Shakti or force of time, remained merged in thee, thou having commanded the force of time to awaken thee at the end of the deluge, indulged in yogic sleep. O Vishwanatha, it is said that Kala Shakti or the force of time awakened thee after thou had slept 1,000 fourfold yogas. O Lord, who were lying in the ocean bed, on awakening, thou threw a collective glance at all the worlds merged in thyself. O Lord, then there sprouted from in thy navel an exotic divine lotus bud, embodying the essence of all objects merged in thee. That lotus bud, which came forth from thy navel, rose up from the waters and spread its radiant light all around, chasing away the darkness. In that marvelous, full-blossomed lotus, held up by the yogic power, arose Brahma, known as Padmanya Janma or lotus born, with the entire set of Vedas committed instantly to his memory. O Lord Vishnu, who art enshrined in Guruvayur, O great soul, O thou of eternal glory, who thus awakened Brahma in Padmakalpa, may thou remove all my afflictions. Dasakam 9. Creation of the universe. Sitting in the lotus on the navel, Brahma was perplexed as to wherefrom the lotus sprang up in the ocean. Eager to find out, he turned his face all around, thereby acquiring 4 faces with 8 eyes like full-blown lotus. Seeing only the unsupported lotus in the mighty ocean, or not perceiving the divine form propping it up, Brahma started wondering about his own identity, seated all alone in this huge lotus, and about its origination. Convinced that this lotus could not be unsupported and determined to find its origin, Brahma, who was highly intelligent, descended through the hole in the stalk of the lotus by his yogic power, but was still unable to locate thy externally charming form. Even after dwelling deeply through every hole in the lotus stalk and searching frantically for 100 divine years, Brahma could not find anything. Then, giving up the search, he sat in a relaxed posture within the lotus, and with his mind focused only on one point, he went into deep trance, invoking only thy grace. After spending 100 divine years in a state of deep trance, Brahma, cleansed by the pure wisdom acquired thus, was granted the wonderful, never-before-seen vision of thee, lying majestically on one side on the body of the serpent, Adisesha. Seeing this marvelous vision through his mind's eye, Brahma was overjoyed. O Lord, I worship the divine form which was shown to lotus-born God Brahma. That divine form, resplendent with a brilliant crown, adorned with bangles, necklaces, and shoulder bracelets, the gem-studded waist belt, dressed in the elegant yellow silk cloth, the radiant Kaustubha jewel round the neck, and sparkling like the Kalaya flower. Hail, hail, O Hari, O Lord of Lakshmi, O thou of infinite glory, whose supremacy has been described by the various scriptures. It is my good fortune that thou art visible to me. May thou grant me the intelligence and skill for the creation of the world. May thou, whose abundance of good qualities has thus been praised by Brahma, protect me. Thou blessed Brahma with unlimited skill for the creation of the 3 worlds and urged them to do penance again. Thou who art the personification of accomplishment, encouraged Brahma to pray to thee with more intense fervor and delighted him with more boons than he asked for. Then Brahma, did penance for 100 divine years, and acquired more strength from penance and more intelligence than ever before. Seeing the lotus trembling in the water due to the wind, he inhaled both the wind and water, threatened by the immoral support. Once more, by the blessing, God Brahma, with the lotus's base, created three worlds and began the creation of living beings. O Guru Ayyappa, may thou of such infinite mercy protect me by the compassion filled glances. Dasakam 10. Variety of creation. O Lord of Vaikunta, equipped with more power due to thy blessing, God Brahma created living creatures like the stationary trees, plants, and creepers, and the movable ones like the animals and birds, as well as hosts of human beings of various gods. God Brahma then created 5 different types of emotions generated by ignorance, that is, pride, egoism, attachment, anger, and fear. Saddened at having to create objects of a tamasmic nature, he meditated on the lotus feet for purifying himself and as atonement for his action. Then Brahma created out of his mind the 4 sages, Sanaka, Sanananda, Sanatana, and Sanat Kumara. Though he asked them to carry on the work of creation, they would not do so, as they were fully absorbed in devotion to thy lotus feet. Brahma, who was enraged by the refusal of the sages to obey him, tried to control his anger. Then there sprang up between Brahma's eyebrow Mrida, who was a part of thine own self. Mrida cried out to Brahma to give him a name and allot him a place. So he was called Rudra, or one who cries. Inspired by thee, Brahma gave Rudra 11 different forms with 11 names and gave as many wives and an equal number of places. Then he kindly requested him to indulge in procreation. Rudra created multitudes of Rudraganas of terrifying appearance, and when they began to spread all over the 3 worlds, Brahma became thoroughly scared. Urged by thee, Brahma directed Rudra to stop creation and do penance instead for the welfare of the world. After Rudra went away to do penance, Brahma again started the work of creation, and from various parts of his body he created the 10 great sages Marichi, Atri, Angiras, Kratu, Pulaha, Pulastya, Bhrigu, Vashishta, Daksha, and Narada. Among them, Narada was an ardent devotee of thy lotus feet. Then Brahma created Dharmadeva and Kardharma, followed by Vani. Brahma was smitten by love at the sight of Saraswati, but his sons Sanaka and Dakshana, urged by thee, persuaded him to give up his lowly desire born of ignorance. From his 4 phases, Brahma produced the Vedas, the Puranas, and all other sciences, and gave them to his sons. Unable to make any further progress in the work of creation, he took refuge at thy lotus feet. By contemplating on the lotus feet, Brahma discovered the strategy for multiplying creation. He split his body into 2 and adopted the male and the female forms of Manu and his wife, thus evolving the means of multiplying the human race. O Govinda, O Guru Ayyappa, O thou who multiplies the human race, thus please save me from all my afflictions.